Hey y'all, I'm Mandy, and this is Mandy in the Making. Welcome back to another What's for Dinner. So, I don't know if you saw on my community tab here on YouTube, but Steven's father passed away from stage 4 pancreatic cancer just this last week, and it's been a very hard time for our family. We had already pre-recorded one What's for Dinner meal, and honestly, I didn't expect to record at all this week, but we just felt like it was something to help distract us. And honestly, Papa loved my show, as he called it, and he was not into technology at all, but he watched my YouTube videos and he loved them, and he all the time talked about them. So this week it's in honor of Papa. So we're gonna jump back in time, and I will show you the first meal that we already recorded, and then I'll be back looking like this for the second meal. See you in a second. For our first dinner this week, we're gonna be making beef tips and gravy. This is really, really easy. You just need to let it simmer for about a couple of hours. So you wanna make it a little ahead of time, but it's so simple. Okay, to get started, I'm going to heat our large Dutch oven to medium-high heat. We are waiting on this to heat up, and while we do that, we're gonna season our stew meat. We have 2 pounds of steak tips here, and we're gonna use Montreal seasoning. You can always just use salt and pepper. This is just a steak seasoning that we already had on hand. Now that our Dutch oven has come up to temperature, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of olive oil. And we're gonna start browning our meat in batches. Okay, they've been browning on one side for about 3 or 4 minutes. Steven is flipping them over. It's not my favorite thing to reach over there and do that because I don't like to get popped from the oil. But we're gonna flip them over and let them hang out for another 3 minutes or so on that side.
You want that good color on there like that.
He's so brave. Now we're just removing them from the pan, and then we're gonna do another batch of those. And then we'll move on. Okay, so we just turned it down to medium heat. And now we're gonna add in our onion that we diced up. And we're just gonna let that get really soft so it'll cook for several minutes. Okay, our onions have softened up. We're gonna add in about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Look at me saying it. You know what I'm talking about. The Dub sauce. Now we're gonna add in a can of French onion soup and a can of beef broth. Now I'm just gonna scrape the bottom and make sure all that good stuff comes off the bottom. And then we're gonna add in our beef. He's turned the heat back up to about medium-high. We're gonna be bringing this up to a boil once we get all of the beef in there, and then we're gonna add a bay leaf too. And these steak tips are the ones we got in our butcher box. Y'all, we love, love, love butcher box. Now Steven's gonna add in a bay leaf or 2, just depending on how big they are. These are not the biggest ones ever. And it's already starting to bubble a little bit. We want to bring it up to a really good boil. Also, if you ever get bay leaves from Walmart, this is how they come. How are you supposed to shake some bay leaves out of that? Okay, now that it has come up to a boil, we're gonna cover it and we're gonna reduce the heat, and we're gonna let it simmer for like 1.5 hours to 2 hours until the beef is pretty much fork tender. Okay, our stew or our beef tips are almost done, so we're gonna make some mashed potatoes. I got this really cool steamer basket off of Amazon. I've got it linked in my Amazon store below. I'm really excited to be using that today. And I've got like 8 small potatoes cut up, gonna add a cup of water, and we're just gonna cook these on high pressure for about 10 minutes. I've got a 1/3 cup of cold water. I've got some cornstarch here. We're gonna add about 3 tablespoons of cornstarch over here. And we're gonna use this to thicken up the sauce in the beef tips. We're just gonna add a little bit at a time and stir it around. Okay, we're gonna let this simmer a little bit longer and let it thicken up. I'm gonna drain all of this water out. There's not a whole lot left, but there we go. Now let's dump the potatoes back in there. Butter. Heavy whipping cream. No seasoning.
This looks good.
It does look good.
So we let it cook for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, just so that it would get super tender.
And we want it to be really tender, so all we gotta do is just barely just pull this apart.
Oh, perfect.
And it is really tender. Look at that, just comes right apart. All right, so let's get a bite, some gravy.
I just need to stand back for a quick second. It's so simple, but it's just so good.
The gravy though, that's amazing.
I don't even have to use my knife.
Don't even have to use the knife. That's what we were going for. We got the knives out just in case, but
The meat is buttery soft, melts right in your mouth with that gravy. The gravy is really rich, not too salty. Since we put all that broth and the onion soup in there,
yeah.
I'm glad we didn't add any extra salt.
Right.
So that was a good choice. But the gravy is amazing.
So Cole, when you stood up, was that a touchdown? What was that?
I don't even know what that was. That was just goodness.
That was just goodness. Okay. We'll take it. We'll take it. All right, I'm gonna get me a bite. Y'all, I got knives out for no reason whatsoever. I mean, it's perfection. It is so good. Y'all got to make this. So it's the second meal of the week, and tonight we are doing baked ranch pork chops, and we're doing something that we have fallen in love with, but I haven't made on camera yet, and that is riced cauliflower. We're gonna do garlic Parmesan riced cauliflower. Okay, to get started, I have my oven preheated to 425. I've got my pork chops here. These are really thick pork chops, so we may have to cook these a little bit longer. If you don't have thick ones, it won't take as long, but I'm gonna season both sides with some salt and pepper. Now I'm just gonna make the mixture that we're gonna pour over top of it. We're gonna add about 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil. Then I'm gonna sprinkle in some parsley flakes. And then lastly, I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of this ranch powder. I'm gonna spray this pan with some olive oil, vegetable oil, whatever kind of oil. Let's transfer the chops over here. Now I'm just gonna pour this over top of them. We just need a little bit on each one, and then I'll come in and spread it around. Okay, so we're gonna put these in the oven at 425 for 30 minutes. Like I said, ours are pretty thick, so they may have to stay in a little bit longer. So we've got the pork chops in the oven. We're gonna do garlic Parmesan riced cauliflower. It's only gonna take a few minutes, but I'm gonna go ahead and chop up our garlic. I had this one bag out, and Stephen was like, is that enough for all of us? Hint, hint, hint. So I grabbed another bag. It's very low carb, so that's a good thing, and it's super tasty. So we're gonna do 2 bags tonight, baby. Does that make you happy?
Yes.
Stop. I've got our large skillet heated to just a little over medium. I'm gonna add in about 4 tablespoons of butter and just let that melt down. Okay, so we just took these out to check them, and even though they're super thick, at 30 minutes, they're done. So if yours are thinner, you may wanna check yours at 20 minutes. We are going to put these under the broiler just to kind of crisp them up a little bit, but first we're gonna get started on our riced cauliflower. Now that this has melted down and it's good and hot, I'm gonna add in our garlic. We're gonna just saute this garlic for just a couple of minutes. Well, probably about a minute. Now that that's sauteed for about a minute, we're gonna add in our cauliflower. I did go ahead and microwave this. Now we're just gonna stir this around and get it good and coated in that garlic butter. So I'm gonna turn this down to almost low, and I'm gonna sprinkle in our Parmesan cheese. I'm just gonna use the rest of what we've got in this container. Make it good and cheesy. Okay, we're just gonna let this hang out while our pork chops finish up. So it's still got a couple of minutes left, but they're pretty much done. So we're gonna take everything out and let's eat. It smells so good.
It's just hard to beat ranch flavoring. It's tremendous. And the ranch dressing is held on here really nicely, even though it's just that one coating on top.
That's like your new favorite, isn't it?
I love this side. I love this riced cauliflower. It is, yeah, it definitely is my new favorite. It just holds all of that
flavor,
buttery
yeah.
Garlic flavor. That is just so good.
Yeah.
It just soaks it all up.
I love how easy it is. It's something that we can throw together really quickly. And then this bread that we've got, a friend of ours, a couple of friends of ours brought us a meal the other night, and this is called rosemary sea salt bread, I think, and we had some left over, so I thought I would put that on the side tonight. Cole, what do you think about tonight's meal? That's what I like. All right, y'all, that's it for tonight. Sorry we didn't have a ton of energy, but we are just trying to get through the day, aren't we, Gracie Lou? Okay, y'all, it is our third meal of the week, which means it is Subbie supper night. So tonight's Subbie supper comes from Evelynn, and unfortunately I don't have any more information from her about who she is, where she's from, all of that, where she got this recipe. I sent her an email yesterday morning and we made it last night. I've been behind, y'all know this. And so I really did not give her a lot of time to respond. So Evelynn, I'm very sorry. And if you can send me your info, I can always add it into the description box or pin a comment. But thank you so much for sending it, because we did make it last night. It was really good. So we're gonna go back in time and I'm gonna show it to you. But it is called Taco 3-Bean Chili. It's a 30-minute meal and it was really good. Okay, so this meal could not be any easier. The only thing I need to do is drain and rinse these kidney beans and then drain these olives. And seriously, all I've got to do is brown up our ground beef. Then I'll add everything else except for the cheese. The cheese is just for garnish at the end. And it's just on the stove for like 30 minutes. So simple. Okay, so I added my 2 pounds of ground beef. I did use 93.7 just so I don't have to worry about draining it. Added it to my large Dutch oven. I've got it over a medium-high heat, and I'm just gonna let this brown up. Okay, so this is browned now. I did have to drain off just a little bit of fat. It wasn't much at all, but I just kind of tilted this over and got the fat out. Now I'm gonna add in 2 cups of water, a can of chili beans. I did not drain this. A can of light red kidney beans that I did drain and rinse. An 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, a 14.5-ounce can of stewed tomatoes. It called for a can of corn that you have drained. I just got some frozen corn out of my microwave and defrosted that. A small 2-ounce can of sliced ripe olives. I did drain this. A pack of taco seasoning. Y'all know I make my own taco seasoning, so I just got like 2 heaping tablespoons of that. It calls for a cup of chunky salsa, so I'm just gonna use this. This is what we already had on hand. I'm not gonna use the whole jar, obviously, but. And lastly, I'm gonna add in a can of refried beans. Okay, now that I have kind of stirred all of this together, we're gonna bring it up to a boil. I'm just kind of waiting on that. I hear it doing its thing. And then once it comes up to a boil, I'll reduce the heat and let it simmer for like an additional 10 minutes. And then it's time to eat. Y'all, this one's easy.
Smells good.
It does smell good. It's hard to smell it though. We're sitting at the table with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arrangements of flowers.
Pretty big chunks of meat in there too.
Yeah, I didn't do the best job at making it really small, but that's okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we like this one. This one's a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna give it a try. Unless y'all think I was kidding when I said we had a lot of flowers. I am not kidding.
So I found out there was refried beans in here.
Yes.
And it makes the chili really thick and smooth. Kind of a creaminess to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one thing that's different about this one than you would have for your, your usual chili.
Yeah, so when I told him there were refried beans, he was like, oh, that's why it's so thick.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I love how simple this was, and for the most part, I've always got all of these ingredients on hand, so I think this one's a keeper, and it will go into our rotation, especially during the winter. I hope y'all enjoyed this What's for Dinner. I know it was a little bit different, maybe not as fun, as exciting as normal, but that's our life right now, and we're just keeping it real. We are just trying to kind of get back into the hang of things and make things as normal as possible. I'm gonna share a picture of Papa here in just a second instead of bloopers this week. Honestly, we didn't really have any bloopers. It was just kind of a quiet week, kind of trying to get by. But thank you so much for watching. I do these videos all the time, so if you're new, I would love for you to join my YouTube family. Hit that red subscribe button below before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, even if we weren't our normal chipper selves. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.